Good evening, everyone. Severe Weather Team 9 meteorologist Nathan Shutt joining you for this edition of Nate at 8. Thanks so much for tuning in on what was a warmer, pleasant day. Right, we're going in the right direction, some of us would say, as we track still some showers for the afternoon, but it's certainly much more hit or miss than the rain over the past couple of days. And it's certainly nice to spot a little sunshine, which helped bump those temperatures back just into the 70s. We're getting closer to normal, but ultimately coming up just short of it again for this afternoon. And now what's upon us? Well, for this edition of Nate at 8, we're tracking, unfortunately, no sun. A lot of cloud cover tomorrow and likely not going to spot any of that sunshine. It's going to be a dreary Friday. It's gloomy. It's back towards the chilly side. It's back to a wet side. It is just unfortunate. Really, I think tomorrow is going to set up very similar to what we had earlier this week on Tuesday, where we dealt with that rain across the area, primarily in the afternoon and evening. And it had the little chill to the air, and we dealt with the dreary, gloomy skies, which we saw a lot of that carry over to Wednesday as well. But I think ultimately Friday can set up fairly similar. I wouldn't say it's an exact, repeat of what we had earlier this week on Tuesday, but I think there's a lot of similarities for your Friday with respect to what we had Tuesday, just to give you an idea of what lies ahead for us for tomorrow. Those showers linger into Saturday, so we are still likely spotting some rain for the start of the weekend. The good news is, though, that ultimately a lot of the weekend does likely end up dry. So we're spotting dry conditions for quite a bit of the weekend. And Austin, to answer your question real quick, good evening to you as well. How cloudy are we going to see over the weekend? Well, likely while we're dealing with quite a bit of cloud cover for the start of Saturday, I think we can spot some sunshine breaking out later in the day and a lot more on Sunday. So it's not a real dreary weekend. Again, it can start off rather dreary Saturday morning, but you'll notice as the weekend progresses, we're going to spot likely more sunshine, especially for Sunday. Looks very nice for the second half of this weekend. And while we do spot more sunshine likely on Sunday, ultimately it does remain cool. So that's a bit of what we're going to be talking about for this edition of Nate at 8, and we're going to be tracking again some rain returning for the day period for tomorrow. And Amy saying, "Wow." And maybe in terms of that rain and returning. Good evening there, Donovan. Thanks so much for tuning in. So let's jump into things, shall we? Without further ado, our temperatures right now are falling from that 70-degree mark, which we're just above the 70-degree mark, now back into the 60s, and we'll cool back in the 50s likely by tomorrow morning. Those high temperatures just above 70 at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport. We broke our week-long, it's been a week-long, 7 days straight prior to today. High temperatures didn't even reach 70 at the airport, Wheeling, Ohio County Airport. So we broke that streak today. We stopped it short of 8 days, but not by much, right? Just into the 70s. And we do continue our stretch now, which is 13 days long. The warmest temperature we've had over the past 13 days is 73 degrees at the airport. We're continuing that. And these next 2 days, our highs are likely even below 70. So we're wrapping up this month with a stretch of 15 days in a row where highs, the warmest high we had was 73 degrees. Now, in terms of May for the Wheeling area, at least since 2000, this is going to tie for the second longest stretch. And the first and second place, well, those occurred earlier into the month. So if we consider just the second half of the month, the longest stretch by 5 days for the second half of this month, the previous was 10 days. So certainly significant in terms of how cool this end of May has been. Another statistic I dug up for you for this evening in terms of the temperatures. How about this? It was actually warmer in April than May. Our warmest April high was 86 degrees. Our warmest high for this month that's going to go down is 84. So how about that? It was actually warmer for a day in April than a day in May. This is not common for us. Over the past 25 years, it's happened 3 other times. Now, the latest isn't too long ago, 2023, but before that, it was 2009 to 2002. So this is the 4th year in over 25 years at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport. We actually had a warmer day registered in April compared to May. So another statistic for you as well. Keep digging up a bunch of statistics on just how cool it's been, especially for the latter part of this May. Good evening there, Renee. Are you going to Jamie's wedding? No. Better weather today? Yes, certainly spotting some better weather today. Not going to Jamie's wedding, but wish her all the best, that's for sure. She's going to be off here over the next couple of weeks, and wish her all the best with wedding and honeymoon and everything. I'm sure she'll have a blast. I certainly wish her the best here coming up for her wedding. So clouds of radar across the area is still dealing with quite a bit of cloud cover, but those lingering showers we had in place throughout this afternoon, the more isolated showers, that is, they're tapering off. And now we're likely going to spend the overnight hours dry. We will be watching with mostly cloudy skies in place as we go through the night. There is that potential for some more fog developing tomorrow morning. I will say likely not quite as widespread and dense as what we had this morning. I know we had that dense fog advisory in effect for most of the area. It was fairly widespread and certainly dense in spots. I could see it being more patchy tomorrow morning. So still some areas of fog, but it could be more confined to valleys, especially river valleys, uh, as we extend through tomorrow morning. But it is one thing we'll watch for. Outside of that, it's a quiet start to your Friday. Temperatures fairly similar to what we had today. Could technically trend a degree or two cooler, but feeling similar to how it felt this morning, likely again for Friday morning. You'll notice that as we start off tomorrow morning for the morning commute, the rain is likely not far from us, but I do think it holds off in time for the morning commute. But that being said, you'll still likely want to take the rain gear with you. While you may not need it for the morning commute tomorrow, you're going to need it for the drive home, because while the rain can hold off for the morning commute, it arrives likely shortly after that, going into middays. If maybe you've had planned for some lunch outside, well, unfortunately, I'm probably going to see that rain break out around that time period, around midday for your Friday. Then you'll notice it just continues occasionally as we go through the remainder of the afternoon. It's a soggy Friday afternoon, likely across the region. Some areas of heavier rain, maybe even a rumble of thunder could be in the mix. The best chance to spot that heavy rain likely south of I-70 as we go there on Friday afternoon. By Friday evening, still a fairly widespread rain. It's at this point, though, we'll notice that rain ending and it's tapering to showers. I think Futurecast doing a great job illustrating that. You'll notice by early on Friday night, we don't dry up, but notice how it's more of a shower, right? There's some breaks in it. It's not a steady rain, but we'll see that rain, that more steady rain, taper likely to some showers that'll then continue overnight Friday and even into Saturday morning. So yes, we're still likely dealing with some of these scattered showers to start off the day Saturday, and from there by Saturday afternoon, a lot of these showers then likely taper off, and we'll notice at this point a decrease in cloud cover. By Saturday night, we're setting up for mainly clear skies. Winds will be diminishing after having a breeze Saturday, which could very well gust upwards about 30 miles per hour. So with the showers tapering off and the decrease in cloud cover Saturday, also anticipate some gusty winds. It's not real breezy tomorrow, but Saturday, yes, we could see wind gusts upwards about 30 miles per hour. So some gusty winds in place as we go through Saturday, but those winds will diminish. They could even calm altogether Saturday night into Sunday morning. Those skies becoming mainly clear, if not clear. And this is just a recipe to see temperatures bottom out. And we could very well get closer to that 40-degree mark by Sunday morning, maybe some cold spots, even upper 30s. It's going to be a chilly start to Sunday, but from there, temperatures are going to start to climb up after that chilly start to Sunday. That's our cold point here for the near term. That's the lowest we're likely getting, because from there, it's upward trend as we go through the latter part of this weekend and into next week. That's the upward trend that I know a lot of you are going to be excited for. That'll start again Sunday morning. After that point, temperatures are going up. After that point, Austin saying surprisingly April's been warmer than May. Yeah, the warmest, we had a warmer day in April than May by 2 degrees, 86 degrees. The warmest day in April we had, and 84 was the warmest day in May. So how about that? We had a warmer day in April with respect to May. Certainly not common. And again, only happened 3 times over the past 25 years. So in terms of precipitation amounts that we can anticipate, likely some higher amounts south of I-70. Very similar to earlier this week, right? We saw those higher amounts south of I-70, lighter amounts north of I-70. And I think that plays out again. We have that gradient across the area. So anticipate some lighter amounts north of I-70 that can be upwards about a quarter on the high end, maybe half inch. And then as we get south of I-70, we're talking a good half inch, upwards of an inch, maybe even a little bit more than an inch in some locations. That's where we're likely spotting those higher amounts as we go through Friday. We pick up the bulk of this Friday afternoon and evening, despite some showers continuing Friday night into Saturday morning. In terms of any impacts, not anticipating any severe weather. Again, maybe a rumble of thunder in some of the pockets of heavier rain we're getting. So maybe some embedded thunderstorms in that rain, but we're not anticipating any severe weather. Just the one thing we're going to be watching for during this time period is a potential for flooding, especially south of I-70, as you can see, where we can see some of that heavier rain. Again, the emphasis here is in the afternoon and evening hours tomorrow. We can spot some areas of flooding. It does likely stay more isolated, but that is one thing we're going to watch for is, if we're dealing with some rounds of heavy rain over the same location, we can see some much higher rainfall amounts than with respect to widespread. So again, keep in mind what we just showed, that about ½ inch to an inch. That's where most of us end up. But keep in mind, the models always struggle with pinpointing those higher amounts on a local scale. So that is what would then yield the flooding concerns. So ½ inch to an inch is not enough to cause, the flooding concerns, but it's where we see those locally higher amounts that are possible with the, areas of some heavier rain. If that occurs over the same location, they can pile up over an inch or two of rain over a short period of time. And that's what we're dealing with in the potential for flooding concerns. But thankfully, again, looks to stay more isolated. But that is the one thing we'll watch for. Again, the time to watch for that is tomorrow in the afternoon to evening. And then with just some showers lingering, the flooding concerns and any impacts will fall off then overnight Friday into Saturday. This is primarily for the second half of your Friday would be the time period to watch for any impacts. And once we do dry up for the latter part of Saturday, we are dry, likely going into the middle of next week. It's not until the latter part of next week that we'll see some showers and thunderstorms return. So if you've been hoping for a dry stretch of weather, you're in luck. So we are going to be spotting those dry conditions returning in terms of the daytime hours, drying up by the end of the day Saturday, but all of Sunday, all of Monday, all of Tuesday, and I think there's good odds all of Wednesday during the daytime will end up dry. So we've got a nice dry stretch coming our way, at least a few days, if not several days long. If you've been hoping for a dry stretch of weather, you're in luck. It will be arriving before we'll see rain chances pick back up later next week. And during this time period, yes, temperatures are climbing up and away. But it's certainly looking much warmer with respect to what we've seen for the latter part of May, for the beginning of June, as temperatures climb back in the 80s, and we'll hit 80s likely by Tuesday. And then by Tuesday, that will be the first time we've had an 80 plus high since May 15th. It's been the middle of this month. That's the last time we had an 80 plus high. So the last warm day was May 15th, and we're finally going to get another one by Tuesday for June 3rd. We finally get another warm day in the mix, and temperatures even topping off mid-upper 80s by Wednesday. So really ramping up with those temperatures early next week, and we're getting a return to some warmer days, and we'll see likely a little bit of a cool down late next week. But I think this is the start of a pattern change where at least we're getting some warm days in the mix, which has not been the case for the second half of May, but into June, we'll see some warmer days likely in the mix. Good luck to Amanda. She'll be missed. Absolutely. Wishing her the best on her new endeavor. She will certainly be missed, but I'm with you, Renee. Wish her the best on her new endeavor. I'm sure she'll do a great job, but certainly, we'll certainly miss having her on a Severe Weather Team 9, no doubt. So another thing to watch for as well, we haven't talked much about this recently. We haven't dealt with this in a bit, is the smoke. So yes, you may recall us talking about smoke from Canadian wildfires. Well, it is something we'll likely see return here at times over the next several days. And we're going to watch for the highest concentration of this likely into Saturday morning. So there can be a fairly brief period of time for the beginning of Saturday where we can have low air quality. The potential, I think, is there for the low air quality, but it's over a fairly short period of time. So just keep in mind, if you're sensitive to the reduction in air quality, it's just something to note that for Saturday morning, we can have some low air quality in place. And you'll notice that concentration in that smoke will then, notice how it disperses as we go throughout the day. So air quality will likely improve throughout the day Saturday. But just to note, for the beginning of the day Saturday, if you're sensitive, to air quality changes, we can deal with the low air quality initially Saturday morning, and then it should improve throughout the day. And a lot of that smoke concentration is likely further west of us than on Sunday, but it can shift further back to the east by Monday. And, what this can do at times as well as we go into early next week is, if you remember, it gives that hazy look to the sky, that milky look to the sky. So we can see this at times going into early next week, despite a lot of sunshine on Monday. That's something we may very well notice. is that hazy or milky look to the sky. So while we're likely dealing with blue skies and sunshine, sky may not quite look blue. If you catch my drift, that's due to that smoke elevated in the atmosphere. That it can give that milky or hazy look. That is possible at times. Just something to keep in mind. And again, I think for a lot of this, air quality is not reduced a lot, but there's that one time period for Saturday morning that we may notice some low air quality initially before it improves throughout the day. Wondering how serious the air quality will be having once the warmer weather returns. So that is something we'll watch for, throughout our summer months. Austin, it comes and goes with the smoke being transported by, the winds in the atmosphere. The reduction in air quality. It comes and goes, and we'll be watching for it, obviously throughout the summer. Again, the one time period to watch here near term would be Saturday morning. We can have some low air quality. The smoke doesn't look real concentrated after that point, but it's still enough to reduce it, but, likely not to the point where we're dealing with real low air quality after that going into next week. It is enough maybe to give that, milky or hazy look to the sky. But that is something, we'll take on more of a day-by-day basis, and we'll keep an eye on as we go throughout our summer months. So yeah, unfortunately, it's nothing we can really, forecast weeks, months in advance, but it's more of a day-by-day basis. So it's something we'll keep an eye on, much like our allergy forecast when we're dealing with the pollen count. So the same story as we do look ahead. And of course, we'll keep you updated on that as we go throughout the summer. All right, everyone. Well, thanks so much for tuning in to this edition of Nate at 8. I appreciate it as always. I hope you had a wonderful day. It was pleasant. Nice to see some sun, that's for sure. Not as bad as the past couple of days, right? It was more pleasant. Now, tomorrow, unfortunately, similar to what we had earlier this week, really similar to Tuesday, Wednesday, just in terms of the gloomy, dreary skies, cool temperatures. I do think we get back in the 60s, but we may not get far. It's going to be cool tomorrow. It's going to be cool. Just brace for a cool Friday across the area. Gloomy, dreary skies, pretty wet as well once that rain breaks out. Not ideal, but after that, the future is brighter, drier for the weekend into next week, and eventually warmer as well, especially by early next week. We'll see those temperatures start to pick up. After Sunday morning is when our temperatures will ramp up as we look ahead into early next week. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for tuning in. Catch me coming up News 9 at 10 on Fox 9 News 9 tonight for the latest. I hope everyone has a wonderful night. And until then, of course, you can always catch me and tune in to our next edition of Nate at 8. I'll see you then.